to say thank you for all the times that you gave to me, for all the times that you gave, and everyone. You has set me free. I didn't know that I would be here. I didn't know that I would make it.
We did.
And you did. And I am grateful. I'm grateful for all the treatments and all the prayers and all the people that stayed by my side and for the love that has just bowled me over. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
They needed a new picture of you up there, Barbara. That was in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Yeah, with Cheryl Perry's shirt on, really. Okay. And now I'm planning on speaking, I think. Okay. And it's my job to let go of this amazing picture and go to my topic. Oh, no. So, one of my favorite little sayings in Science of Mind is that Science of Mind is about teaching us how to think, not teaching us what to think. So I'll ask your indulgence and forgiveness early because I may get a little over the line today. I really do want to talk about fear, but I also want to start out by saying the fact that you're in the room means that you are least likely in need of this information that I want to share today. But I'm giving it to you anyway, because we have a vast audience beyond the walls of this facility that are going to watch this and think about the things that I'm sharing. And we are kind of focused at from our vantage point here in Asheville, North Carolina, but this is something the whole world, I think, is pondering right now and certainly can use a little perspective on. So that's what we're going to do. I will say, though, that it is a really good time to be a student of the science of mind. The freedom that is being expressed from this philosophy seems to transcend a lot of where people are right now. So you're well ahead of the game, and still I want to talk about this idea of fear and how it is so evidently impacting our world these days. And a number of things that I want to share. We're, of course, talking about what's happening in our culture, where there are vast numbers of quarantines, where all major sporting events and athletic endeavors have been not just postponed but canceled for the year, where groups are supposed to limit the size of those that gather for fear that all these bad things are going to happen. Now, I have no judgment of the government for setting these guidelines. They're doing what they think is best for everybody. The work that I want to suggest here has to do with how individuals perceive this and move forward in their lives. I heard on the news this morning, yes, I still listen to the news, isn't that crazy? That apparently Walmarts aren't open 24 hours anymore. They're going to close so they can sanitize for about 6 hours a day. The run on toilet paper has gotten to the point where somebody broke a bottle of wine and stabbed somebody in a Sam's Club. I know! So things seem to be getting a little out of hand. And that's what I want to address this morning. First, I want to introduce you to the COVID-19 virus. These are the boogers. So you know why they call it the new coronavirus? You know why that's the phrase they're using? Because every one of us has been infected by coronavirus. Every one of us, unless you just never, ever got sick or had a cold. This from the Centers for Disease Control. Coronaviruses are an extremely common cause of colds and other upper respiratory infections. We've all had them. We've all been through this, okay? This one a little different? You bet. It's a little different. It's really contagious. And that's what all the fuss seems to be about. But yet, with that one element of being more contagious, a lot of other things are coming along. And what we're facing is a panic pandemic. That's the challenge. That's the challenge. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some data. Because this is actually all from the World Health Organization or the Centers for Disease Control, the people that control the data. And I want you all to look at it, and still I think you're in a place where it's not so much how you're thinking, but what you're thinking about this. So look at this and see how this works for you. We're going to start with the United States. Right now, at least as of last night when I took the last numbers, this was the data on COVID-19 in the United States. We have right at 2,500 confirmed cases. We have so let me talk about that for a second. 2,499 confirmed cases. Of those, 2,389 are experiencing mild conditions. They have a sore throat and a slight fever. 10 are in serious or critical condition. And in every case, it's people in that category that already have compromised health conditions. They've already got some kind of a respiratory problem. They've got something going on in their body that has set their immune system askew. So this is not something that hurts average people. It's also true that many of the people that have, well, let's go to the next one. We'll talk about deaths. In the United States, deaths related to the COVID-19, 51. Of the 51, 37 lived in the state of Washington. 25 of them lived in a single nursing facility in Kirkland, Washington. All of those that were at the Kirkland facility had compromised health conditions. They were also in their 80s. Now, at the Kirkland facility, they announced yesterday that they have an 89-year-old man who no longer has the virus. He did fine. Here's the weird number, 49 recoveries. Why would that be? Because most of the people that have been infected are not past the 2-week period. That's why it's so small. That will grow dramatically in the next few days. Okay, so that's what's happening in the United States. So I want to switch over now to North Carolina because that's where we are. That's a map of the state of North Carolina. We have 23 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in those locations. The big circle is the Raleigh metropolitan area. That's where most of them are. But there are counties. There's 1 or 2 in Charlotte and 1 in each of those down by the coast. And that's where it is right now. And of these, they all seem to be pretty mild cases. There have been no deaths. Okay? I also want to point out that from Charlotte west, there's nothing. And of course, I need to say, there's going to be. It's a highly infectious virus. There's going to be. And some of us may get it. The thing is, they're saying is that 80% of the people that get this, they just self-correct without ever seeing a doctor. One reason that probably these numbers are off, because more people have it and they don't know it, and they are not doing anything about it. So there are some things for us to do because it is time to be responsible. There are people that are vulnerable from this, but most of us are not. If we're healthy, if our immune system is working, we don't have a problem. This is not a big deal, okay? In the scheme of things. Let's look at the world for a second. Current data on worldwide COVID-19. 150,000, a little over 150,000 confirmed cases. That includes China, where all those billions of people live. Now, that's a lot of people to get it, right? I'm not arguing that at all. And there have been 5,600 deaths as of yesterday. Again, most of those people with compromised either immune systems or lung capacity or something of the sort that made this a problem for them. And look at their recovery numbers. It's doggone near half already. Last week, there were 11 reported cases in China. This thing is taking its course. Let's see what else I wanted to tell you about that. Yes, a child died from COVID-19 in China. They didn't give the exact age, but it was between 10 and 19. It's the only known death of a child in the world because there's been no other reports, and there has been no one under 10, even though there have been a number of children who have contracted the virus. It's like they have a cold. No big deal because they're healthy. It's not a problem. So these are our worldwide stats on this. Now I want you to look at the numbers again real quick here. And we're going to switch over to the flu. Last year, 42,900,000 people had the flu. Over 500,000 were hospitalized, and 61,000 people died from influenza in the last season of the flu. And the way they report that, CDC, is that these figures reflect a typical flu season. That's normal. Anybody screaming about the flu? Anybody refuse to get a flu shot? And look at all these people that died. What's wrong with you and me? So seriously, the flu is way more dangerous and more likely for someone to get than the COVID-19. Yet we have shut down our society over this. It's kind of seems a little out of balance. Again, no complaints on what the government's doing. They're trying to keep it from growing even more. But the truth is that most people that are going to get this are going to be fine. We need to protect our elders. That's the work. And I think the government, I would imagine that the government is doing quite a bit to restrict access to people who are in facilities. Okay, so we have a number of people that work in those kinds of environments, and the government's doing their thing to protect them. God bless them. I'm so glad. Be mindful of it. It's good. This is a time to be responsible. It is not a time to be afraid. The fear is not going to help us. In fact, the fear is going to hurt us more than anything. Everyone recognize Bruce Lipton? Yes. Brilliant microbiologist, cellular biologist. They're calling him a quantum biologist now. And he's very clear about this. He put out a great letter this week, and I get a copy of it. And he's saying that we need not be afraid of the boogeyman, and shares in general terms what I've already shared with you, is that this is dangerous for certain people, but for the general population, it's not. And we're all going to be fine. That the problem is that people are so stressed out about it. They're so struggling with it. They're so afraid that they're doing things to their body that, for one, stops their immune system from working. When you're stressed, 90% of your body in that stressful position receives a dose of what's called cortisol, which is the hormone in your body that is designed that if you're in a dangerous place, your priority above all else is to get out of there. So it shuts down anything, other thing that's going on in your body that would not help you get out of there. And if you're being chased by a lion or a bear, that's really important. But with this, it's working contrary because it shuts down your immune system, which makes you more vulnerable, which would let a virus come in and be more dangerous to you. There was a couple that were on one of those cruise ships, and the husband was tested, and he had the virus, and so they immediately put him into quarantine. His wife was left alone. She was in her own quarantine, but they were not together because she tested negative, so they kept them apart. He stayed in a hospital in Japan, and she came to the United States and was put in a facility in Washington State, quarantined. So she was not further experiencing this, yet she got it too. And she had the harder time with it because she was all stressed about being away from her husband. So she had a worse sore throat and a higher temperature than he did. Now, there could be other factors there, but my guess is that had a lot to do with it, that people are freaking out, and it's making them more vulnerable. So let's not freak out. Let's be responsible. Let's wash our hands. Just as a practice of being cleanly, or being clean, the cleanliness of doing what it is we need to do to live with all of us and what we're out and doing. Have you ever heard that idea that there are 7 points of separation between all people on planet Earth? That means that everybody you know, and everybody that they know, and everybody that they know, it only goes out 7 before we've covered everybody on the planet. Kind of says that we're kind of in each other's space, and if we're going to get some kind of an infection, that's going to happen, especially something like this. But it's not going to kill us. Everything's really okay. So with all that's going on in the world, I would ask, what would be the best course of action? What is the antidote to all this fear, all this panic, all this upset? And we as a community are known as the ones that are clear-minded, that know who we are, and that act accordingly. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to be clear about who we are and what it's going to take for us to move from this incredibly panicked circumstance into something that's going to work. Because this thing's working itself out. Yes, it's true, as Dr. Fauci says, who's head of the government task force on this, the numbers are going to go up before they come down. But the thing is that in this country, it seems that they're not skyrocketing like they have in China and Iran and Italy. They're actually it's going to be a much smaller curve on this because we're getting a handle on this. But the people that are afraid are not getting the benefit of that. So what would the antidote be? And what I want to suggest to you today, that it's peace. I did my research and kind of looked around in the writings of Ernest Holmes and focused on disease, because that's what we're talking about, as a disease that's misunderstood, that's misrepresented, that it has created such changes in our society. And I wondered what Ernest might say about that. And here's a quote I found from The Essential Ernest Holmes. And you can read it along with me. The 3 great enemies of mankind are war, disease, and poverty. And we believe that these 3 great enemies must finally be overcome as divine wisdom and infinite intelligence find a more complete outlet to the mind of man. Peace is the power at the heart of God, and at the very center of the universe, there is always peace, love, truth, and beauty. Today we draw closer into this beauty, into this divine presence, into the realization of this eternal peace, which must finally triumph over war, which must finally heal all disease, and which must finally destroy every sense of lack, limitation, and want. I think Ernest is onto something here. And I think that we experience these kind of events on a global scale the same way that we do on an individual scale. in that when you have some apparent crisis in your life, what's to do? To remember who you are, to recognize that that thing that looks like such a problem is not greater than you, and to be at peace with it and to move forward with your life. So now we're being asked to do it as a race of people, of human beings on planet Earth. It's not a bad plan. How else do we get everyone's attention and get us to work out some of these fears that we have and to realize that we're greater than them? We're greater than all of them. Frankly, I think that Barbara is standing as a master teacher for us. To show that even when something severe happens to our bodies, we can overcome it. We're still there. As she said on that piece that we watched this morning, we are not physical beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And all physical experiences are valid. They allow us to experience something. There's no wrong experiences. So there's ones that we like a whole lot more than others. And let's spend most of our time having ones that we like. I have to tell you, and I've probably said this 100 times already, but I'll say it again. I have never felt more in love with this woman. She is not broken. She's whole. And she's brilliant. And when she finds those 5-syllable words out of nowhere and says them to me, it dazzles me. My life is great, and so is hers. So don't fall into that trap that something's wrong. Nothing's wrong. This is just a path. It's all a path. The coronavirus thing is a path for us to awaken to who we are. So where I'd like to close today is with another prayer. In fact, a treatment that was unpublished until just recently. It was found in the archives, and they published it just in time for me to share it with you. So I invite you to close your eyes and receive the words of Ernest Holmes. Let us pray for peace in our hearts. Let us affirm peace in our minds. Let us live as though peace were the mandate of God, because it is. Together, let us affirm it and let us encourage others to, no matter what the opposition appears to be. For it is a fundamental reality of God. Blessed are they who have not seen and yet believed. Let us face the future without fear, but let us also face it intelligently as men and women who are not afraid of anything. There is nothing in the universe to be afraid of. Let us realize that as the world is healed and brought into peace, it will come to pass only because somewhere along the line, the balance of the scales of eternal truth shall fall on the side of peace. Let us, you and me, pray for peace. And let us make our hearts fit to accept it when it is revealed from within us. Let us make our intellect and our soul and our feeling ready to receive it and embrace it, even before it appears. Let us, in the stillness of our own souls, back down to the ineffable presence, which is peace, and proclaim it, even in the midst of confusion. That peace, which is the power at the heart of God. And so it is. Thank you. I love you. Be safe, be healthy, and be at peace. Yay.
Hi, I'm Barbara Waterhouse.
And I'm John Waterhouse. Thank you for watching this message today.
Through our website, cslasheville.org, we have over 1,000 messages, classes, and New Thought books, all to download at no charge to anyone.
Producing this incredibly valuable collection of ideas is really making a difference in the world. It's changing lives everywhere.
Please go to our website, cslasheville.org, and click the Donate button. You can support this life-changing ministry, and when you do, we'll send you a note of thanks and also put you on our daily prayers.
By doing this, you're helping to raise the consciousness of people across the entire globe. We're changing lives together, those lives that are being more prosperous, more healthy, and more joyous. Thank you for being a part of this important work and supporting what we do here at CSL Asheville.
Thank you.